Hello everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Velvet Lounge Life. I am coming to you with a special button edition. I am creating a series of videos to help you identify Waterbury Button Company buttons. They used various logos, hallmarks on the back of their buttons. Of course, if you see the words Waterbury Button Company, that's a clue. Sometimes it would just say Waterbury CONN period, or actually, to be exact, it would say Waterbury Co's Inc. CONN period, or it would say WBC, or just the letter W. And sometimes there was nothing on the back. And there could be other markings as well, but those are probably the main three. The earlier buttons, obviously, they proudly marked Waterbury Button Company. Waterbury can, the more words you see usually, the older the button is. I won't go into dating the buttons in this video, but those are just some things to watch out for. So what is the purpose of this video? The purpose of the video is to help you identify when you have a Waterbury Button Company button, because they are very collectible. Most people might have them and not realize what they have. Also, they sometimes made their buttons out of precious or semi-precious metals and other materials. So we're going to discuss that. Also, most people do not realize that the Waterbury Button Company made more than just uniform and military buttons. Most people identify them with that because it's pretty easy, because the words are on the back of the button, but they don't realize that they had an entire line of fashion and couture buttons as well. And I have several of those buttons in my collection, and I am going to show you those. Also, one of the things that the company did is they would interchange dies. So you would have, the same style button, but in different colors, for example. That's, an example of sharing the die. So I'm going to show you an example right now. Here you go. Just give me a moment. I hope that everyone is having a fantastic day. It is beautiful here in New England, and I have to go out later to the theater, and I'm excited about that. So here is an example where you have this brass button in red. But the same button, they made this button also in black, which is what this is. And they also made it in blue. And this is what the back of this button looks like. So you can see this button has very faint writing on it. Like, the impression is incredibly faint. But this is a Waterbury Button Company button. Now, how do I know that the buttons that I'm going to show you are Waterbury Button Company buttons? I know a couple of different ways. One, obviously, is if the wording says so on the back. It's pretty obvious. The other way that I know is that the buttons that I'm going to show you are buttons I've collected over the decades. But also, recently, I was lucky enough to purchase buttons from a collection, and they are from a fellow whose mother and grandmother worked at the Waterbury Button Company decades ago. This fellow is like in his late 40s, so that gives you an idea of age and how far back this goes. And like I said, his grandmother worked there. He thinks that he may have had a great uncle that worked there too, but he isn't 100% sure about that. But they had this collection of buttons that were just sitting collecting dust, and he decided that it was time to part with it. So I was lucky enough to acquire it. If you want to see the full scale of the buttons that I have in my collection, watch the previous video, which I will attach a link inside of this video to it. There are thousands of buttons. I'm going to show you approximately in this video series, I'm going to say maybe 90, 95 buttons, almost 100. So like I said, the purpose of this is so that you can identify these if you happen to come into contact with them. You'll know exactly what you have, and you will know whether it's something that you want to add to your collection or not. So let's get the party started. So I showed you two buttons actually already. This is another design. This one is so cool. I love this button. It is enameled. You can see the grid work that they have in there, the different colors that had to be placed. It's yellow, red, green, and there's a blue stripe going through each, in there as well. And this is the back. Actually, did I even show you? Yep, I showed you the front. This is the back with that classic W logo in a boxed shank. Here is another example of where they shared the design. This is a different die, and it's different because look at how small it is, as well as you can see there's a variation in the design. So these were, I have to do more research on this, but these were probably made for a company, I assume. I could be wrong about that. But they did make buttons for various organizations, as well as state, municipalities, local government, etc. I think I've mentioned this to you guys before, that they made buttons for costumes, couture buttons, sporting groups had buttons made. They actually made a lot of special order buttons. And, one of the things to remember is, yes, they are known for their brass. Oh, that's the other thing I want to remind you. Please subscribe to the channel. Please. There you go. We're trying to get our goal of 2,225 subscribers. And when we do that, one of the giveaways that we have, gifts that we're giving away, is I am giving away a collection of buttons. I might actually do 2 collections, give away 2 of them. But you have to be a subscriber, and you also have to leave comments and give us a thumbs up. So this one, you could see the writing, the tag is a little bit in the way on the back, but this one says, it doesn't have the word button in it, but it says Waterbury Button Co's, Connecticut. And this one is made out of nickel. I have a small number of these. They're made out of, actually I have more than a small number, but they're uniform buttons, obviously for the military, made out of nickel. And let's show you some more fashion buttons. I love their fashion buttons because, a lot of people just don't know what they are. Even if you go to the museum, they do have fashion buttons there, but most of the buttons that they showcase are going to be the military ones because those are the most common. And there's the back. Notice how it has no writing on it, but I know for a fact. And I actually have the original boxes, the factory boxes that these came in. I will show you. Well, this is part of one box. I guess I'll go pull a box later that actually has some of their writing and information on it. So you can see what one of those look like, because hello, some button collectors like collecting everything in the button world. Here's a beautiful domed button, and once again notice the back with a shank. This is a classic shank style that they use. They technically had like 2 that they used on a regular basis, but obviously if they're doing custom orders and things for clothing, couture, such as this button, the person could select the back that they liked, And also they had, you know, certain backings that they would actually show clients, and that's what they would choose from. You know, a lot of them were not sitting there saying, let me come up with something from scratch. Here is another. And I do not know what this symbol logo means. I don't even know if I'm holding it upside down. But it's a dark blue enamel set, you know, in this brass. And on the back, those are the words. So yes, there was some variation in wording. Part of that is because in the year 2000, the company was sold. It sold itself to another company that took it over. And eventually that company decided they were going to keep the Waterbury Button Company name, which I think is really cool. And just don't be disturbed if this video suddenly cuts off. I will be continuing in a second video. Like I said, the purpose is really to just show you the buttons so that you can check your collection, and maybe you need to do a little resort. And yes, in the background, I will try to change the picture on my monitor so that you can see some of the buttons that you see on the monitor may or may not be Waterbury Button Company buttons, just to let you know. And also, my lighting is absolutely atrocious, you guys. I have a big bright light, one of those like lights that you use for filming videos, over my head, and I have natural light coming in the window, and I still feel as if my lighting is horrific. So if you have any suggestions, you know, how I can improve my lighting, please let me know. I am always looking to learn. And you guys are the best. And look at this beautiful button. This is one of my favorites. It's just so clean, and I love the little like ridges that are behind the eagle. I don't know why I like this so much. It's probably one that goes on a general's outfit, knowing me. It's like, that's why you like it. It would go on a general's outfit. And on the back, that's what you would see. And there is a picture of the shank. Like I said, you're going to see almost 100 different buttons here, all made by the Waterbury Button Company, so that you can go back through your collection and pull those valuable buttons out. Look at this one with a teddy bear. So freaking cute. I plan on giving my, oh, she's probably going to watch this video, but that's fine, my daughter some of these in her Easter basket. She is in law school, but we still give her an Easter basket with some of her mom's favorite treats and her favorite treats in it, and her dad's favorite treats. And mostly we put like little gifts in there. So I have, you know, a little bunch of gifts, and usually we put something that's nostalgic, and she will love this. So you can see this is what the back says. This one says Waterbury Co's. C-O-N-N period. And the reason why the backs are important, as well as good collectors know, is it will help you date your buttons, as well as I just think it's so important to know how they were made. You know, some people are just like, oh, it's pretty, it's shiny, I think it's old, I'm going to go crazy bidding on these items that are only worth $5 and spend $100. And you end up with stuff that was made, you know, overseas in bulk to trick you. You know how your buttons are supposed to be made. Ask for pictures of the back so you can make sure you're getting what you think you're paying for. And notice that this shank is different. That's one of their classic shank styles. Here is a very old antique button. Again, one of my favorites. You have the American Indian, you have a pilgrim, for God's sake. evil pilgrims. Look what they did. And then you have this beautiful shield in the middle with an eagle at the top. I adore this super old antique brass button. It is amazing when you look at the detail and you think about, you know, what it represents. And this is the back. And like I said, if you have any questions whatsoever, please leave comments down below in this video. And like I said, there will be probably 3 videos in this particular Waterbury Button Company series. Also, one of the things I'm going to show you is, you know, they made more than buttons. One of the other things they did is they made, ta-da, I never forget about the fellows. They made cufflinks. Now, there were a couple different styles of cufflinks, but of course this is that classic with a bar in the back. And look at that. That's almost like a bullet, that piece of brass. That is a truly strong, incredible cufflink. And this would have been one of their special order items. And trying to get you a visual of the words there. And the odd thing is I only have one matching pair of these, and then I have one random cufflink. I think that's pretty cool, because if you lost a cufflink, guess what? You would have a third one as a backup. So I don't know if that was by design or if there should have been a 4th cufflink. I have no idea, but I have 3 of those particular cufflinks. Let's see what, oh, let's go back to another fashion. Oh, okay. These are divine. And I was lucky enough to get several of these rare buttons. This is a button that probably would go on a coat or a dress jacket. It was definitely something that was sort of part of their couture line. It is made of nickel. That's what the back looks like. And the shank. And most of their buttons were made with this 2-part process. So you'd have the die, which would press in the design. Then you would have the backing, which would be one piece, which they would then join together. Okay, there's other steps in the process, such as this has shading in it, you know, etc. The design of the die itself. I'm not talking about that. Just the fact that this is 2 pieces of yumminess. Just eye candy. One of my favorites. I have a lot of favorites. You're going to hear me say that many times. You're going to be like, oh my God, which one is our actual favorite? Well, all of them kind of are. But, yeah. Let's see. How can I show you this one? This is super cool. New Yorkers will love it. It's a City of New York Fire Department button. And this is what the back looks like. One of my favorite shanks is this style of shank. Why? Because if you're making jewelry, stuff like that, you know, actually I just noticed this one says Scoville, but it says Waterbury, which is why I pulled it out. So disregard that one for the moment. Yes, I do have a collection of Scoville buttons as well. And I'm going to try to get one more button in here for you. And then I will continue with part 2. And I want to thank you, before I show you this button, for tuning in. And like I said, there's a lot more coming. This says Arcadia. I can't really read it. Batesman, 1864. And it has some other words there that I can't read. But this is also just a royal button. Look at all of the detail. It is so, it's like there's subtle detail, then there's a boldness to it. There's an Aladdin's lamp up at the top of it. It's just amazing. You know, each one of these are like little works of art. And I'm trying to be careful to only hold these by the shank because I don't want to scratch them up. And this is what it says on the back. You could see even the back of it, they took more care and work. As I said, one of my favorite shanks, because this shank style is easy if you're making cufflinks or you're making, you know, jewelry or whatever. You're adding it to a charm string. It actually will show better. So this is my favorite shank style. And I don't mind, I mean, this one it does have the flat top shank, but there's some that are rounded. I like the rounded ones as well. I'm just saying the construction of the shank is amazing. So beautiful. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like I said, I have more to come, a lot more to come. And I am going to try to end by showing you a couple more buttons, of course, before the video cuts out. But please remember to save us as a favorite, give us a thumbs up, as well as make sure you leave your comments below. Share our videos. We love it when you do that. It actually helps us and also helps YouTube to know that people actually care about learning about buttons. We do have other playlists. We are spoiling the entire Outlander series. I also do part-time acting, so I actually reveal everything that you need to know to become an actress and not have to spend any money doing so, and how to claim it on your taxes. We have other videos as well if you are looking to become an eBay reseller, or simply buy items and resell them. You know, we're doing that as well. And this button that I just showed you with the shell, it is also a jacket or maybe even a coat size button. Isn't that gorgeous? And I have this in brass as well as in this silver. And I think the top is sterling silver. We have to test that. The backing is definitely not silver, but the front I think is silver. So we will have to test that, and I'll get back to you with a verdict in the next video. So thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day. Remember that your health is your wealth, and without your health, you have absolutely nothing. And we will talk about this special order video set of buttons in the very next video. Thank you.